Hello everybody, this is Tony at Callus Rensport. We've got an interesting situation today where we have a 2014 991 and we have a check engine light. So the first thing we did is connected the power supply. This is not a battery charger, this is a power supply. And normally I don't worry about connecting it straight to the battery. Porsche says not to on the ground side, so we didn't, but honestly it's not a terrible thing as long as you're careful. We've got our PWIS2 connected, and again the power supply is keeping from we don't want to put too much AC voltage into the charging system because computers hate AC voltage. They run off DC voltage. We've got our PWIS2 connected and it's going through a vehicle communication interface. Right now you can see that there's no USB light, meaning there's no communication light, but we're going to do that here in a second. There's our standard battery charger. We don't want to use one of those, not clean enough voltage. And I also have a manometer connected, so we're reading the crankcase vacuum. It's actually low, and I think that's part of our problem here. We're going to also check the purge valve, or what's known as the tank vent valve. So I'm going to go ahead and scan the vehicle. We're going to go into 911. We're going to 991 because this is a 991, and it's going to communicate, and eventually if it's communicating we will get the USB light, there it goes, to come on. If you don't get that USB light, there's no communication. On the 12 through 15 cars, your connection, your DLC is right at the fuse panel. So now we're connected to the car. I'm going to go in, since we had a check engine light and I reset it yesterday, but I wanted to show you what we were doing. Now, when we have a check engine light or a fault, I like to pull up the guided fault finding data, and that gives us the fault, what the diagnostic conditions are, meaning what it takes to run to have that fault happen, then possible fault causes, whether it's the oil filler cap being off, their positive crankcase ventilation leak, which we may have since we have 11 instead of 15 or 16, intake leaks, something going on with the pressure sensor, a fault in the intake manifold pressure sensor, etc. And we don't have any other faults other than this one mainly. Now, if this were a Panamera, I would say this is an easy one, and we have a dirty or soiled throttle body. On this car, we also pulled up our fault codes at the time, and we did come up with, if you notice, this car does not have over revs in 4 through 6 were the main problems. And we can see that we scanned, which is a good idea, every module. We like to scan every module, and these were our faults at the time. Now I'm going to go ahead and go in to DME. I'm going to hit continue, and we don't want to create a vehicle analysis log because that would be about 100 pages and we don't want to wait on the video for 20 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and check our tank vent valve here in a minute. Look, there are campaigns stored for this vehicle. I'm not going to worry about that right now. That would have to go to a dealer to take care of that. And you see what we have now. I've cleared the fault memory, so we shouldn't have any faults at this time. Oh, purge fan. Well, the reason why we have the engine compartment fan is because I have those out of position and unplugged. So, okay, that makes sense. We won't worry about that at this time, but we'll go into actual values and look at some values. So mainly when you're dealing with the intake system and the throttle body, I would say to always go to load detection, H, and in H, actually there's an ATI, a technical service bulletin from Porsche, to tell you about this issue and the actual values and where to look and what they mean. So we normally look for H040. So we're going to go in there, we're going to hit continue, and we're going to mainly focus on H040 because that's really the atmosphere in the intake. Now, what they did in the 2012 car, unlike the Panamera, and let me just give you a little correlation first. The Panamera, which came out in 2010, had Smart Key 1. That was a change. The 2011 Cayenne, the 92A, the Smart Key 1. And then 2012 911, like we're dealing with here. And those cars are different. On the 991, we only have manifold absolute pressure. So, and of course a throttle body. So really we're focusing on a couple of things. We're focusing on that guided fault finding and 8040 to see where this number normally is. This is a good value, and I've even seen them normally, empirical data has shown to normally be around 10 to 15. So this car is in that range. Now we have on the oil cap, we have a manometer connected, and normally we see around 15 inches of water, not a standard vacuum gauge, inches of water instead of inches of mercury. So we now see here 10 to 11. That's low. So I have a feeling something is going on and probably setting this. But what I like to do is clean the throttle body, let the customer drive it, and see if the check engine light comes back on, because honestly I hate to spend additional money of the customer for no reason. Now we did pull off the rear bumper and we did smoke the intake system, so that was critical. Louis is going to grab a flashlight for me really quick, and we're going to show you where the purge valve is, and then I'm going to operate the purge valve through active or through drive links, and you can see the pipe in there is for the purge valve. So what I'm going to do now is Louis is going to turn off the car and we're going to activate the purge valve. So let's back up. Now you see we lost communication. The key's got to be on. So we're going to go back in to activate the purge valve, and the key is on. So give the computer a second. The P was 2 to catch up, and we're going to go back in and check the purge valve. This usually takes a moment. The key is back on. We do have communication, which I see the USB light is lit up, so that's good. And we will continue, and we're going to go into DME, and we're going to go to drive links. Drive links is for if the car is off. Active drive links for if the car is on. So we're going to go back into drive links so we can make this purge valve click. I'm going to scroll down to tank vent valve, same as purge valve, and we'll hit OK. And now what you have to do is you have to hit execute. And once you hit execute, the tank vent valve should be clicking. So let's listen for that. Okay, I don't hear it right now. We'll try this again. Sometimes you have to do it a couple of times. There we go. And see if it's operating now. There it goes. You can hear it. Very light. Pretty sure you can hear that on the video. Now, you don't just want to run the purge valve just for 30 seconds. You want to run the purge valve for 5 minutes. Get it nice and hot, because that purge valve isn't going to act up until it gets nice and hot. Okay, I think we've covered most of it. I wanted to show you how we look for a P1071 fault and how we can deal with Porsche check engine lights. Obviously there's more. Again, we've scanned the car, we pulled the fault, we smoked the intake system, we ran a manometer test, crankcase vacuum, and we've checked the purge valve. And there's more. You know, you can make sure that your oil cap seal, obviously this is not the oil cap for the customer, but we make sure that seal's okay. And then we make sure all of the crankcase breather hoses and that whole system is okay. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you.